Welcome back to another episode. Geo Rustic Design here. Today's episode is going to be a 6 foot office desk with legs. So I usually start by I try to cut as many pieces with my CNC machine as I can. Cut all the pieces out and then put everything together. You can see all the pocket holes that I drilled. So most of these will come in for a later step when you attach the top, and then when you attach the face as well. So. While I have a second, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe. Trying to just get to that 1,000 follower mark for the first time. So please. So jump back into the video. You can see the pocket holes that I drilled, and the long piece is going to be for the front. So I use pocket holes with I think 1.25 inch screws, and then I use some glue. So I left a 3-inch gap at the bottom, so that the customer can get a Swiffer or whatever mop up underneath the desk, and then so you attach the front piece by those 3 pocket holes. I use just top bond. I think it's 3 glue. It dries really quickly, and then so you do this same step for the other side, and this will give you your front piece. If there's any particular builds that you want to see me do, if there's something I do a whole lot of, different builds, vanities, desk, so I've been trying to get out more content. But please drop a comment below if you see anything that, interests you. And in the background, my next video is going to be that vanity that's in the background. Okay, so going into the next step. So the next step is you're making the room for all the drawers. So there's gonna be 3 drawers on each side, and then so this is the same step as the beginning. Same top bond glue, and then you're just going to use the rectangles that I cut out. I think they were something like 25.5 tall, and then like 22 long, something like that. I'll make sure I'll link all the measurements below, but please cut your own measurements. Don't go strictly by mine. If I get off a 1/4 inch, here or there, it could really mess you up. So make sure that you measure your own measurements. And so pretty much how I figure out, how I'm going to do, like, say, the inside front piece. I know the desk is going to be 6 foot long, and then I want, let's just say, 1 inch to 1.5 inch overhang on each side. And then you have the legs as well. So that's 3 inches for each leg. So that's 6 inches. And then you're going to have, let's just say 1 inch overhang. So that's 8 inches minus what it's supposed to be. So there you can see I done the inside pieces. Those go on just the same. So usually how I kind of measure that out, I'll have a scrap block that I already have cut, and it's 15 inches long, and so I'll lay that against the wall, and I'll put a little mark just so I make sure, because it's so you have to have the measurement to the inside of the drawers so precise, so that when you go to slide the drawers in, that they don't mess up, or they're not tight, they're not loose, whatever. But once you get all 4 of those pieces on, you can put the other legs on. These go on. So you have the pocket screws, and as you see there, add a little bit of glue to the tops, and then when you tack those in, that's all the legs. Okay, and then so the next step is, so these are another 15-inch piece. Actually, you can make your drawers however wide. I just kind of find out 15 inches really works the best. So this just kind of really helps keep everything nice and straight. It doesn't really allow that whole square for the drawers to be out of line, or to be I'm trying to keep everything straight here. So and really gives it a little more added support. So I just cut some scrap birch that I have from off of the cabinets, 15 inches. The width does not matter. And then you can put those in, and then so that's the same step. So for the front pieces, all these are 15 inches long. and they're 1.5 inches wide. And then so you can kind of decide, how many drawers you want here. My most sold one, it comes with 3 drawers. So you have the 2 top ones, then you have the bottom piece. And also, so I have a lot of my stuff listed on Etsy. So Etsy is the same name as my account on YouTube. So it's GL Rustic Design. If you ever need, a vanity or a desk or, whatever else, I sell all that stuff on Etsy as well. So here, you can kind of decide how wide, or how tall you want each drawer. And so I think this one ended up being, I think it was like 10 inches for the bottom, and then maybe like 4.5 for the top two. So pretty much once I get I know the bottom piece is going to be on the very bottom, and then you're going to have a top piece on the very top, and then you kind of go from there. Like, all right, well, how deep do I want my bottom piece? If you just make it 10, then you can take the middle piece and then you can just kind of divide it, in the middle of where it needs to be. So the only reason I didn't put the top piece on first is because I had already pre-measured. I had already done the other side, so I knew exactly where it needed to be. So I think it was, like I said, like 10 inches for the bottom drawer, and then like 4.5 maybe, separating the top one and the second one. But like I said, you can cut your own measurements. So, and then when you go to put the drawer in there, you just got to know that the slides and everything is you take away 2 inches, and that gives you how wide your drawer middle needs to be. So moving on, I actually changed this step a few times because I was trying to give the customer more room. Not this one, but that front piece you see that would face you at the desk. So I actually flipped that upside down. So you'll see in a later step how that changes. But this is really just for support. So that I can, because this drawer slide has to go in there. So, but here I'm just trying to line up where I need the keyboard is going to slide on. I don't do a lot of these with keyboards, but this customer requested that I did do one with a keyboard. They wanted a keyboard pull out, and then they wanted the legs. Typically I do them without the legs and without the keyboard unless requested. And then so, making sure that whole piece is even, that it's straight up and down, that it's, that so that the keyboard slides in and out pretty easy. So, and getting you one of these squares, that thing has saved me so much, especially when I'm doing like dog kennels or, anything such as that. It has saved me a lot. So here is what I was talking about. So I end up flipping that piece around, or flipping upside down, so that it's facing that way. Really just trying to give the customer another few inches of room, so that they can slide their knees up and under. Okay, and then so moving on to the trim. So the outside trim is pretty simple. Whatever the width is, let's just say it's 22, for example. So I cut the top 2 pieces at 22, and then I measure the distance that's left over. So that's going to be 25.5 minus 6. So that that's how I kind of come up with where the pocket holes you see I'm doing there. I'll start that piece. Like I said, I'll try to link all the measurements below, but please measure your own, especially when you get things like this. Please take your own measurements, so that because I do these videos after it's built, and usually it's already gone, so I don't quite remember all the measurements. But please cut your own measurements. Please measure and cut your own measurements. So just tacking the trim on, it's a pretty simple step. I just use some 1 1/4 screws, and also my hand is a hammer, which I got to get out of that. I need to buy me a hammer that I don't have. But just 4 screws, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and then on the front piece I think I used 8. so just 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom for the front piece, and then here, just kind of doing a quick view of that. And so the top I had accidentally built without videoing, but it's pretty simple. I just used 2x10s, ran it through the planer, ran it through my table saw to get everything nice and straight to cut off those curved edges, and then I used the 2.5-inch pocket screws and wood glue in between the seams. Got those together, sanded it down from, started at 40 grit, went up to like 220, and then eventually made it to like 320 or 340 or whatever the next one is. And then all this is stained special walnut. So I went ahead and I stained the bottom of the desk, stained the top of the desk, so it's over there, drying. So I'll do, 1 coat of stain. I usually let it dry. I'll do it as I'm about to walk out of the door for the night. So the next day I'll come in. So I usually, I'll let it dry for almost a day. It's only a few hours is all it needs, especially when it's really hot outside. And then, come back in, I'll coat it, with, the Min-Wax polyurethane. And then I'll sand it with 2000 grit. Then I'll get another coat on there, and then sand it with 2000 grit. And then the top would be done. And then so here you see I'm doing the drawer slides. So there's a million ways of how to put these on, of how different people do them. Even in different videos I've done them different ways. So this one, you use the screws that come with the drawer slides. You want it just a little bit off the bottom there, just to give you a little bit of wiggle room. And then so I put that on there, and then I slid out. So this is the side piece that's going to be attached to the keyboard. And so I slid that out. I just used some 1x pine for this piece. And so I slid the drawer slide out, popped those 2 screws in where they needed to be, and that gives you the sides to the keyboard. And then so this is me actually attaching the keyboard. So again, I just use pine. It's all 16 inches deep. And then, so like I said, so when you're trying to figure out the keyboard, you can take the measurement. Let's just say I think it was like 28 inches. That was the inside measurement from leg to leg. And then so you take away the drawer slides, which is going to be 1 inch total. Then you take away the thickness of that outside pine, so that's 1.5 inches. So that's 2.5 inches away of what the middle section needs to be. So I think like I said, I think it ended up being 25.5, 26, something around there. And then I use pocket holes again. Pocket holes I use way more than I probably should. It's just so easy to do them, and if I try to hide anything, this is how I'll do it. So you attach all those, those 6 pocket holes, and then your keyboard, once you stain it, and whatnot, is ready to be put in there. And then so this is me starting to work on the drawers. So that little piece of pine that you see in my hand, I actually use that to get all my drawers. So I'll put that in there, put a mark exactly where it needs to be. It's somewhere around 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches. Put it in there, put a mark, and that tells me where I need to put my drawer. And then so when I end up doing the drawer, which you see I'm doing now, I use that same piece of pine when I put the slide on, so that everything lines up. I don't have to worry about it being, too far up, too far down. It always lines up perfect. So that's just kind of a jig that I built, I guess, if you would say, to really help out. But so I've always used just sanded 1/2 inch plywood for my drawers, glued them together, put brad nails. It's always, every drawer we have in our house has been fine, 2.5 years later. I don't really have any complaints about this method. So this is what I've always used. And then so like each drawer is going to be, I usually, how I cut my drawers is I'll get a sanded, a 4x8 sanded 1/2 inch sheet of plywood, and I get 3 strips out of it. So it's almost 16 inches. Once you take away the thickness of the saw blade, it's going to be like, let's call it 15 3/4 or 15 7/8. So I'll cut it into 3 strips, and then I'll go back and chop up all the strips for the drawers. You know, sometimes if I have a lot of these to do, you know, like I have like 4 desks I gotta do here in the next few weeks, I'll use my CNC machine, you know, to cut all those out just to really speed up the process. But yeah, so once you get your box built, you got the two sides, the bottom, and then the front and the back. There's that same piece of pine again I was referencing. I used the screws that come with the drawer slides. Pop those in there, and that tells me exactly where I actually need to put my drawer slides. And that first one, you can see me pause there for a second. I actually put it on the wrong side, so I have to go back and fix that. But so, you know, the front side, you know, you can kind of get away with if it's a little shorter, as you can see, than the back side. You can see how the back side sticks all the way to the top. You can make them the same. I just, you know, when I get to the end of a piece, you know, if I can make it work, I try to make it work. So, but like I said, I had to flip that side around because I put it on the wrong side. And so yeah, so that's the drawer slide itself. Once you get the drawer slide in, I use little inch screws that I'll just order on Amazon. These little screws, put those, slide the drawer in. Make sure you move the camera around to get the better angle. Use a 3/4 inch piece of pine for the front. Make sure all the sides are leveled up. Like I said, here you could use a little 1/8 inch sheet of Luan or whatever, you know, to go around the whole side of it, you know, to get those on. But once you get the handles and all that on, pretty much all the drawers are done. And then so once you get all the drawers done, I take the front 2 out and use those pocket holes that I mentioned in the first of the video to attach those. So thank everyone for watching my videos. Please, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please drop that below. Thank you.